Okay, so this is a top mount refrigerator that's having some water dripping into the refrigerator compartment on the top shelves. We've taken the panel off inside the freezer to expose the evaporator coil, and notice that all this ice is built up. This is from defrosting cycles that go on. The drain is plugged up and the water has nowhere to go. So I'm chiseling and scraping out all the ice as best I can. Underneath the evaporator coil there, the trough, which is the metal piece that's flipped up a little bit, there is a hole in there that's supposed to catch the water. It runs through that hole, down through a tube, and goes to the outside of the refrigerator by the compressor. And then the heat of the compressor will evaporate that moisture. In this case, the hole's plugged up. There's nowhere for the water to go, so it's spilling over and dripping through those 3 holes that I'm pushing my finger through right there, and then ending up on the shelf in the fridge. Once you get all the ice scraped out, I use some sort of a device. I just use a turkey baster with a plunger, and then a piece of tube on the front with some hot water. And I keep flushing it through the hose and then letting it suck back up, and then push again, and each time you'll feel the hose go down a little bit further as it melts the ice. Keep doing that, changing out the hot water as needed until you get this to flush right through and clear all the way out. Once it's flowing freely, we'll install what's called a heat probe to hopefully stop this from happening again in the future. So keep flushing it through, switching out the hot water until it flows. So here in a second you'll see that it'll flow through and the water in the turkey baster will disappear. Right there, it's disappearing. If there's any left in the baster, I just use it to melt any little residual ice pieces that are left in the trough and make sure it flows out properly. Once that's all done, we're going to bend a couple of the fins on the evaporator to make ease of installation of this heat probe kit. They are really sharp, so be careful. Just a couple that are above that hole, just move them like that, bend them. Then we're going to grab the heat probe kit here from Whirlpool. This kit consists of a couple items in there. There's some foam insulation, there's a little metal tube, the heat probe itself, and then there's also a screw. So what you're going to do in the picture here, I'll show you the pieces. On this particular one, we only need the heat probe and the screw. Everything else is not needed on this particular install. So we take the heat probe, which is this long metal rod. I pre-bend it a little bit here, and then I make a slight bend in it so that it falls into the hole better, which you'll see. And we hang it over the hole and hook it onto the heater itself. Then I squeeze the back of it towards the front to help clamp it and line up the 2 holes for where the screw is going to go through. Use the screw that's supplied. It is a stainless steel screw so that it does not rust. You're going to put it through the holes that are lined up and just slightly twist it to grab it. Then you're going to grab either a nut driver or a screw gun and gently apply until it tightens up, being careful not to strip it out. It's very thin aluminum. It only needs to be snug. So now every time the heater turns on during a defrost cycle, it will actually heat this piece of metal, which will heat down into the hole and hopefully keep it defrosted in the future. One of the main causes of this happening is a dirty freezer or a lot of lint buildup on the condenser coil, which you'll see here later. So now we've reinstalled the back panel. There's a couple screws that hold it in place. We'll put the bottom panel into the freezer in a few minutes here, and we'll screw that in place as well. If it's dirty, you can clean it before putting it in. In this case, I'm going to install it, and then I just wipe it down after it's in. You'll see it has some popsicle juice and some stuff on there that's gummed up, so we'll clean it all off. After it's installed, we put the 2 screws in the front corners, which you'll see here in a moment. Then we'll reinstall the shelf that came with this fridge. Once the shelf is installed, if you've taken the customer's food out, you can reinstall that as well. All shelf installations are different. This one just has some oblong holes. At the top of the holes are deeper than the bottom of the hole, so you'll put the shelf in at an angle so it can sit in and then latch into the other side, and then you press it down so that it sits and doesn't slide back and forth and fall out. So here we're just cleaning off the dirt and the grease and stuff that's on there. All these things contribute to that drain getting plugged up. As the fan's running to circulate the air, it can draw particles of food, dust, lint, pieces of packages and things that fall off. It can suck them through there, and if they fall over the hole or fall into the hole, and then it stops the flow of the water and then starts the ice buildup. So just doing some finishing touches here on the cleanup. Then next we'll install the shelf. I'm holding it up to the top there because those are deeper at the top. Then we line it up at the bottoms. I just press it down to make sure it doesn't slide back and forth. Then we're going to remove the toe kick here on the bottom of the refrigerator. I'm going to use a lint brush. It's a long skinny brush. You can buy them at Walmart, Home Depot, most places. And clean off that coil underneath there. Once all the lint is off, that way it makes air circulation better. The fridge doesn't work as hard, doesn't build up as much frost. And that's it for the repair. Any other ice that's in there or water on the shelves can be wiped up or cleaned off for the customer. Thanks for watching.